John chapter 18, verses 33 through 38. Pilate then went back inside the palace, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "Is that your own idea?" Jesus asked, "or did others talk to you about me?" "I am a Jew." Pilate replied, "It was your people and your chief priests who handed you over to me. What is it you have done?" Jesus asked, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants will fight to prevent my arrest by the Jews. But now my kingdom is from another place." "You are a king then," said Pilate. Jesus answered, "You're right in saying I'm a king. In fact, for this reason I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." "What is truth?" Pilate asked. With this he went out again to the Jews and said, "I find no basis for a charge against him."
Amen.
That translation was a little bit different. That's okay. We can work with it. You know, before this last presidential election, this is not a political sermon, believe me, but I got a point here. In fact, before the last two presidential elections, because they were all so close, right? Analysts were saying that a lot of undecided voters wait until the last minute to vote because, and I quote, "many people decide who to vote for based on the candidate's likelihood of winning." This is actually a sociological phenomenon. Social scientists have actually studied this, and their finding is that people just like to be a part of a winning team. Now, if this is so, it would explain a lot of things, right? It would explain why people only show up to the games when their team is winning. Am I right? It also, yeah, Bobby's a diehard, I know.
I am.
Yeah, but it would also explain why struggling churches have trouble turning things around. It also explains why people who do go to churches are drawn to the mega churches. It's because people like to be a part of the winning team or the successful looking group. That is a social science fact. Maybe this is why Pilate had trouble with the concept of Jesus being a king. Because if he was a king, he certainly wasn't on any winning team. In fact, it's not even clear who his team was. Because as Pilate said, in my translation it said, "Your own nation handed you over." In this translation, "Your own priests and leaders handed you over." All to which Jesus says, "I don't belong to any kingdom of this world. In fact, it's not me who proclaimed that I was a king. It is you who say that I am a king, not me. I am here for one reason," says Jesus. "I came into the world to testify to the truth. I came to give witness to the truth, to speak the truth, to proclaim the truth." All to which Jesus simply asked Jesus, "What is truth? What is truth?" And then he just walks away. Pilate had no interest whatsoever in hearing Jesus's response. He really didn't care, I guess, what the truth was, or maybe the truth is that he didn't want to hear it. Because if he did, he might in some way be challenged or convicted or have to hold himself accountable for his many non-truthful ways. So yeah, it was probably much easier for Pilate to just walk away. Indeed, Jesus' kingdom is not of this world. This is Reign of Christ Sunday, right? But I don't think Jesus' kingdom is of this world. This isn't the place where Christ reigns. Because the rulers of this world rarely ever speak the absolute truth. But then why would they? Really, because to speak the absolute truth is not always a popular thing to do, and you're probably not going to find yourself on the winning team if you always speak the absolute truth. And yet, even as hard as it might be to speak the truth, it's often even harder to hear it. And so what would it be like? What would it be like to live in the place where Christ truly reigned? To live in Jesus' world? A world where we spoke the absolute truth. A world where everyone not only spoke the absolute truth in general, but we began by speaking truth about ourselves, to ourselves. A world in which everyone truthfully looked at the whole pictures and not just the pieces and parts that support our own little truths. What would a world like that look like? Where everyone spoke the truth. Clearly, forthrightly. What would that look like? Well, personally for me, it would probably look a lot like the world that my friend Nancy and I have. Nancy and I have been best friends for over 40 years now. And we have never lived in the same state except for 5 of those 40 years. All the other years, Nancy's lived in Wisconsin, Illinois, Florida, and I've been back here in California, and yet we are even closer today than we were when we were living those 5 years in Wisconsin together. And why? Well, it's because we have the most amazingly unique relationship. One that began with absolute truth and honesty, and evolved from there, from that point. We've told each other everything, and I mean everything. She knows it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, she knows my deepest, darkest secrets, she knows all my fears, she knows all my hopes and dreams, and I know all of hers. And we are for each other the one place on this whole earth where we can say exactly what we think. We can speak the absolute truth, no sugarcoating necessary, and know without a shadow of a doubt that we are completely and absolutely unconditionally loved and accepted just the way we are. She is for me the closest knowledge I have of what it would be like to live in a place where Jesus truly reigns. People often say that we need to speak the truth in love. Have you heard that? Speak the truth in love. And yet what I have discovered through my friendship with Nancy is that speaking the truth, simply speaking the truth, is love. It is love. For when people trust themselves and trust the other enough to speak the absolute truth, they are already living in the realm where unconditional love reigns. Nancy and I are able to speak the absolute truth to one another because we genuinely love each other and we generally desire the other's highest good in every situation. And because of this complete agape love we have for one another, we only ever speak the absolute truth, unafraid. You know how you get that fear, you're gonna tell the truth? You get a little fear in you, but it's unafraid. Never have to think about it, never have to worry. The truth is just the truth. It's our choice to hear it or not to hear it. And it doesn't matter how softly or gently the truth is spoken, because the truth, as the scriptures proclaim, is like a two-edged sword. It can cut to the core of our very being. And so we, like Pilate, we can just walk away and never allow ourselves to be challenged or confronted by the truth, or we can be courageous and try to trust each other enough to stay and listen. Personally, I find that I can deal with anything if I know the truth, if I know what I'm dealing with, right? It's the unknown. It's the unspoken words. It's the words spoken behind our backs. It's the non-truths and lies that prevent us from growing and evolving into a world where Christ reigns. To live the way of truth is to live in a countercultural way. It's not the norm of our society. It is to risk standing out, not blending in. It's to be a part of the few and not among the many. It is to speak the truth, even if we're the only ones on this side of the line speaking it, and it is to speak the truth even if no one listens. All in the hopes of obtaining a rare and priceless friendship, or becoming a true, authentic community of faith, or maybe even one day, truly living in a world where Christ truly reigns. Amen.
Amen.
I want to invite you, now I'm gonna slow down, Shelley's still